So this morning I'll be using the Birchot HaShachar, the morning blessings, as the inspiration. Um, but before we really dive in, I'm going to invite you to make sure you're in a position that you can comfortably be in for, 25, 30 minutes, 25 minutes. Um, that if you'd like to wrap yourself in something akin to a talit, a blanket, a shawl, a scarf, a sweater, a jacket, whatever, just as that, giving you that feeling of embrace um, that is often helpful in relaxing us. I invite you to do that now. If you want to get up and go find one, you've got a little bit. Um, and to begin, just center ourselves in our bodies, sitting in a position that's comfortable, that supports your whole body. Let's take a few deep breaths in through our nose slowly, feeling the breath go in through your nose, up through your sinuses, down to your lungs, filling your lungs as much as you can by breathing in very slowly. And then also slowly breathing out, not letting it all out at once, but slowly in a controlled way, releasing the air. Let's do a couple more of those. Each breath awakening all of your cells with this new oxygen. And with this third breath, or maybe fourth for you, depending upon how fast you're breathing, imagine the air not only being air, but imagine the oxygen in the air reaching down into your lungs, feeling your lungs disperse the oxygen into your bloodstream, carrying this oxygen all throughout your body, energizing the cells, feeling this oxygen move down all the way to your toes and up to the top of your head, bringing you renewed energy, getting you in touch with your nervous system and all of the various far reaches of your body, really centering yourself in your body this morning. Now that you've gotten in touch with your body, I invite you to feel in, reach in, feel where you're feeling some stiffness, maybe even a little bit of morning pain. Move your body around very gently. Try to work through that stiffness. Try to wake up those muscles. Be very, very gentle. It's early in the morning still. If you want to stretch your arms out to the sides, maybe also above your head, bend right to left very, very slowly, very gently. Don't force anything. Just wake your body up. Let it know that you're in touch with it, you're listening to it, you're feeling it. You can also stretch your legs out if you'd like. Do little rotations with your ankles, very slow, very gentle. Maybe the same with your head and neck as well. As you release these tensions and get in touch with your body this morning, you can recenter yourself with another deep breath. I invite you to bring yourself back to the moment of waking this morning. Remember what it felt like, if you can, to slowly come out of sleep, Hopefully no one had to wake up with an alarm this morning. But if you did, you can remember that as well. Maybe the first thoughts you had when you woke up might still be accessible to you, depending upon how long ago it was. And that blurry, faded moment between sleep and wakefulness, take your mind back there. Remember what you were feeling. And as you presence yourself back to that moment, bring your mind back to that feeling. I invite you to, instead of accepting that feeling that you had as soon as you awoke, and maybe you already felt gratitude, bring in a sense of gratitude to that moment of wakefulness. It's easy often to take for granted the waking moments of the morning, to shoo them aside quickly, to get to all of the business of wakefulness, without even acknowledging the fact that you may not have woken up at all. Or in a more extreme fashion, there may be days or moments in which you wake up and feel that you wish you hadn't. And even in those moments of waking when you don't want to, if we bring in the presence of gratitude for the opportunity to be a part of this world for one more day, to have the capacity to inhabit this role in which we're trusted with this world for one more day, can overcome those feelings of dread, of being tired, being frustrated, of even anxiety at what might be before you. Our tradition tells us that sleep is 1/60th of death, meaning that it is a taste of death, in the same way that Shabbat is 1/60th of the world to come, of the perfect world that we long for in the future. And so each time we awake from a 60th of death and are granted the opportunity to work towards, once again, the world to come, to do what little piece we can to bring a better world for all people. And in that, we are trusted by God. We are trusted by Source. We're trusted by Gaia, the natural flow of the world, to do our part. And that is a great honor. And in that, in order to be a part of it in this way, in the way that our tradition views our role in the world, we must inhabit these bodies. These bodies that are a constant reminder of the fragility of the earth, of the fragility of life, and of the way in which, if we are mindful and take care of these aspects of reality, they can be healed, they can be improved, they can be filled with joy. And just as all things are wrapped in light, our tradition tells us, the Torah tells us, that the first act of creation was to create light, and that light led to all else. so too are we wrapped in light. Our bodies may be fragile and frustrating, but they may also be viewed as an appendage given to us by the divine. They may also be viewed as a reflection of the light of creation. And for that, we once again presence our gratitude to inhabit these bodies that also reflect the light of creation. And in these bodies, we're granted wisdom. Wisdom that sometimes arises from the deep, from places we don't even know. Wisdom that brings us information that we may not ever have learned externally, but seeps up from within. Traditionally, one in the morning wraps themselves in tefillin, a physical representation of the ways in which we engage in the world. One box of the tefillin goes between the eyes right here, and one on the arm. So I invite you to take a deep breath in and imagine that breath charging the space between your eyes with that light of creation, opening it up to receive the wisdom that wells up from within. Allowing you to be directed by Torah that is implanted within all of us. Allowing you to see beyond the mere physical reality we inhabit that is bound by the duration of our lives, and to recognize the eternality behind it all, giving you a perspective of the divine on the world you inhabit. Another deep breath in, imagining the oxygen and energy from that breath moving into your forehead, where the tefillin would lay. Now, doing the same with your arm. Whichever arm is the non-dominant arm. Imagine your next breath filling it with that same light, reminding you that even in your less masterful moments, as your non-dominant arm represents, you're able to represent the wisdom of the infinite, to take that responsibility of being present in this world and act on it with the light of the eternal. That all you do, when done with the right intention, brings about a better world, leads us closer to the world to come, charging you and us with love. Love for the divine and love for the world. Now that you're centered in your body and accepting the light of the eternal as the blessing that is given to you on each day, I invite you to expand that field to also encapsulate the home that you are inhabiting. How beautiful are our homes, these Mikdash Ma'at, these small temples that each of us inhabit every day, that we're able to turn into a meeting place for us and the eternal by showing respect to our home and to our loved ones that reside with us, by taking the time to view with gratitude our places of inhabitance and accepting them as places of the divine, that we need not enter into some separate physical space in order to encounter our most meaningful practices or in order to encounter the eternal as we understand it. But our very homes are those dwelling places that allow us to encounter the divine and allow us to recharge ourselves, to be a messenger, an active force of the divine in the world. And in that, our homes become places of healing for us. When we are most in need, when we take care of our homes and ourselves, they become a place that we can find respite, allowing us to renew our bodies, renew ourselves each day, to allow our bodies to also reflect that sacredness of inhabitants, being themselves miniature temples in which the divine resides. And that divine then allows our bodies to repair. And it's easy to take for granted those small things that we're able to do because our bodies continue working without our thinking every night, from digestion to healing the small tears that happen in our muscles with exercise and growing back stronger, to allowing our joints to rejuvenate. These things happen without us even having to think about it. And even if it doesn't happen as quickly or as well as we might like, in some ways we wake up renewed at least a little bit every day. And our breath returns to us. One of the great mysteries of being an ensouled creature, a being with a soul, is where that soul resides. And our tradition tells us that our soul is our breath. And just as I was describing that our bodies heal without us needing to think about it, our bodies also breathe without us needing to think about it. But we can think about it. We can control our breath. And the fact that both of those are true, that our bodies breathe on their own and allow us to control it, is precisely what it means to be an ensouled creature. We can go through our days reflexively responding to the things around us, allowing our environment and our body to control our destiny without our input. And we can control our breath, control our actions, control our responses. And being an ensouled creature is inhabiting that middle ground between the two, recognizing that we can't always be in perfect control, and recognizing that, in fact, sometimes it's best to let the body, the reflex, lead on its own. But sometimes we must be in control. And anytime we need to take control, we can once again return to our breath. at any moment when we feel out of control by simply taking a deep breath in, regaining control of our breathing, slowing it down. We're able to regain control of our bodies, of our reactions, and act from that place of wisdom so deeply planted within us with our own choices, as opposed to reacting from habit or reflex. And that is what it means for God to have breathed a soul within us, to give us the capacity to control ourselves, and therefore, in some small fashion, the world around us. In order to do that as well, we have to work towards wisdom. And that has been given to us as well. The ability to distinguish day from night, good from evil, is a blessing that's been granted to us. We need only open our eyes and think clearly about what is before us. In doing so, frees us from the captivity of our habits and our reactions, and allows us to lift ourselves up from the darkest places we may fall into, giving us the ability to be the force of salvation, finding our footing on the solid earth that we've been given, strengthening our steps through our breath, through our ability to discern, coming into confidence, and in this we are able to wrap ourselves, our outward appearance, with that confidence, to show to others that we too are equal in this world. We too have a voice in this world. We too deserve respect. And with that foot forward of respect and self-dignity, we are given strength to react in ways that reflect our strongest inner desires, that awaken our souls to our purpose in the world and allows us to enact that purpose with the full knowledge that we were made in the image of God, which means that we are one of the many puzzle pieces in this world that make up the total reality, the total relationality of all things, interwoven by God from creation until today. It also gives us the freedom to define what that role is for us based on our own internal wisdom, our own internal Torah. And we in particular are blessed with the external Torah, the guidance of our Jewish ancestors that came before us, whose stories are recounted in the Torah, the Midrash, the Mishnah, the Talmud, bringing us their wisdom from the past to enact in the present, and giving us today the strength to enact those values and those judgments and virtues with greater strength than ever before. And may we enter into our day with a sense of the crowning glory that is our birthright as individual humans and as individual Jews, to be a force for good in the world, leading the world to the next level of freedom and of liberation. And to end our meditation this morning, say the blessing over engaging with words of Torah, and I'll give you a couple words of Torah from this week's Torah portion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu mitzvotav v'tivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. In this week's Torah portion, we get the beginning of the story of Joseph, a story which starts off with Joseph being, let's say, childishly ambitious, and these ambitions showing through in his dreams of ruling over his family, and in the way that he shares those dreams, and his belief that he knows better and is better than his family. And it ends with him being thrown in a pit, the first of multiple pits he'll be thrown in. But we all know, as the story goes on, he arises from that pit and is the salvation that he originally saw, but in a way he could have never known. So much of the meditation I just led was about how we fulfill our own duties to bring about a better world full of freedom. And we may have ideas now about what that looks like and what that may be like in the future. But what the story of Joseph teaches us is that whatever ideas we have now are only a glimpse, maybe a 60th of the reality, just as sleep is a 60th of death, that guides us as a faint light wandering through a dark forest. And that means that we may stumble, we may fall, we may come up short, we may end up in a pit now and then. But that light is still guiding us towards our role in the ever unfolding liberation of the world, of all humanity. And just as Joseph was eventually lifted out of those pits and given his due, so may we in our day be lifted out of our own pits and given our due as our own roles unfold before us in the everyday actions we take, be it simply caring for ourselves, caring for our loved ones, or caring for those in the world around us. Boker Tov. Good morning.